Hello everybody. This is part 2 of our series on communicating with your financier to ensure they've got a clear position on how you're tracking and that you've got their support. In the early part we spoke about key elements of the profit and loss of a business which go to updating your financier. In this part we're going to talk about working capital largely. Working capital critically impacts the run rate of your business but also the cash and balance sheet position as to how you're funding the operations of the business. It's important to prepare for a discussion with your financier on the following critical working capital items. So firstly, debtors. A financier wants to know whether what you've got recorded on your balance sheet is actually full value. You need to give a clear indication of risks associated with unpaid receivables, the extent to which collection times have been extended or in fact reduced. It's important to have up-to-date numbers here. In other words, your latest month of receivables. Payables are another area of working capital, and again an overview of how you're going in terms of your commitments and liabilities on payables, but also opportunities where cash flow is tight to perhaps extend out payables on a reasonable basis with key suppliers if it's necessary. Work in progress is another key element in terms of discussing how you're tracking with your financier. Now, not all businesses have large work in progress, but project-related businesses like our business, like engineering, construction, manufacturing businesses do have from time to time large degrees of work in progress. And our experience is that business owners have varying degrees of ability to track work in progress. If you're talking to your financier, you need to have a really strong grasp of how it's made up, what the period of extension of those possible claims are for jobs that are currently being progressed, and how that's tracking, and any risks to delivery of that work and therefore payment. Another element of working capital is your pipeline. So that's tendered work where those tenders haven't yet been decided or awarded. But again, that points to your run rate and future potential over the coming forward months. Finally, inventory and cash are two elements that are important in terms of working capital. Firstly, inventory. Is all your inventory fresh? Do you have a handle on the value of that inventory? Is it being actively managed according to the climate you're facing in the forward outlook, whether that's growth or a difficult climate of contraction? And secondly, with cash, have you sufficient cash or lines of credit to handle your short-term cash flow needs? It's a matter of pulling that all together to provide an outlook, short-term, the next 1, 2, 3 months, and longer-term, 6 months, 12 months, in terms of your working capital needs. Be ahead of the curve in explaining your situation, your needs, your expectations about how the business is tracking. Be open and transparent in your communication, and above all, have up-to-date information on the financial and business operations to share with your financiers so that you will have the support over time to operate the business successfully. Thank you very much for listening.